thank you very much of COP16. And it was such a great pleasure working with you. And you deserved definitely the standing ovations that you got. You even deserved another one. But now it's end March. April is approaching, and we need to move on. And since we are now preparing for Durban, I was reminded of an excellent quote from the great South African leader Nelson Mandela. After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb, quote unquote. And we did indeed climb a great hill in Cancun, but now we need to keep on climbing. However, having conquered the one in Cancun, that obviously gives us great confidence that we will also manage in the future. And in order to get a firm grip on the rock, we have the Troika cooperation, which adds continuity and power to the negotiation process, and it also provides a forum for useful coordination and exchange of experience. And since I'm also the Danish Minister of Gender Equality, I can obviously not resist from saying how delighted I am that we have 3 women here, so it's women only, and if we get into a crisis, we have the brilliant assistance of our Executive Secretary, Christiane Figueres. Well, on a more serious note, the climate change process is a long haul. It is not a process for big bangs. That was a lesson from Copenhagen and the lesson from Cancun. We did not aim for a hole-in-one in Cancun, and we should neither aim for one in Durban. This process simply takes time. So what lies ahead of us? Well, this year we'll be busy implementing, getting the Green Fund up and running, setting up the Adaptation Committee, developing guidelines on MRV, and streamlining the technology setup. So we'll be busy getting the golf ball into the next hole in Durban. However, we have to keep our next strikes in mind in order to win the final game. So we only now have to continue sort of working on a number of important or long-term issues, such as the legal framework, and we also need to increase the level of ambition with regards to our reduction targets and actions, and identify a peak year and agree on 2050 targets. But another important lesson from Cancun, I think, is that we also have to proceed in parallel processes. It is important to start the transition to low carbon development on the ground, irrespective of whether one is developed or a developing country. This should be done in parallel to our efforts to build a conducive global framework. Outstanding issues in our negotiations should not be an excuse for not moving forward domestically, according to the means at our disposal. And I think here that the 3 countries are very good examples of that. Both Mexico and South Africa are undertaking quite ambitious action on the ground, whether in the area of energy efficiency, renewable energy, or lower emission generation, and that is to be commended. In my country, Denmark, the government recently announced a strategy to become independent of fossil fuels by 2050, with steps being taken now in the short term. These steps involve, amongst others, a considerable increase in renewable energy. Indeed, in 2020, we aim to have 42% of our electricity generated in Denmark by wind power. I guess you could literally call that winds of change. So to conclude, our countries are all committed to the UN process. At the same time, we are all, in our different ways, laying the groundwork for a low carbon future for our respective countries. So I guess you could say together, we do not just talk, although we obviously like to talk, we actually also walk the talk. Thank you very much.